Hi everyone, Pat here, and welcome to this week's sort of market review. More going to be talking about the higher time frame of Bitcoin this week rather than the intra-week and intraday side of things. I will cover Bitcoin intraday and intra-week towards the back end of the video, but today's video is going to be mostly on the higher time frame and giving an outlook to where I think we currently stand in the cycle, along with where I think we're going and how long is left of this cycle. If you haven't read it already, then I suggest going to read my report from back in February. I think this was, February the 14th, I wrote this, discussing BTC, the higher time frame of BTC, and sort of the reasoning why I think the 2025 bull market is still in play, why I think we can trade to 160k plus this year, along with some other macro side of things, and looking at trends from prior cycles matching up with our current cycle. So if you haven't gone and read that yet, then it's linked at the top of the description. You can go and check it out. Everything else will be discussed today. Starting off with the yearly, going to be looking at the yearly candles. BTC's put in a bit of a trend over the past 3-4 cycles, if you want to call it 4. Pretty much all Bitcoin cycles result in 3 bullish candles, 1, 2, 3, followed by a bear market. That then leads to 1, 2, 3 candles going into the 2015 to 2017 bull market. We can see that BTC had 3 candles, followed by the bear market that lasted for 2018 into 2019. Before bottoming in 2019, we saw 3 bull candles again, 1, 2, 3, from 2019 to 2021. Into 2022, bear market bottoming in 2023. We saw 1, 2, now we're on that third BTC bull candle, which I believe will, rally into the 155 plus, likely the 200k region this year. Towards the back end of the year, I think we look at peaking out on BTC, or topping out and putting in a bear market for 2026, and then likely we do the same scenario going from sort of 2027 to 2030, where we form 1, 2, 3 more bullish candles from BTC, right? So overall, the trend is there for BTC. As long as the yearly closes above, sort of 93k, then we have that bullish candle. I think that's why 93k is a very important region overall. It was the close from 2024, and we'll get onto the lower time frame shortly, why 93, 94k is very important. But overall, I expect this 2025 yearly candle to print as a bullish one as we close out into 2026 later this year. Given we've just moved into Q2 of 2025, we've printed a 3-month candle. Trend over the past sort of 2 years now has been that we form a range, followed by an impulse out of that range, followed by a range, impulse out of that range, followed by a range, right? We're not new to ranges. We're not new to price forming very slow bottoms. Over time, we do see these consolidations followed by expansion, which is what I sort of expect BTC to do going into Q2. I think we can see a rally. At least if we are going to see a rally in Q2, it has to happen prior to June. I do not expect things to rally through summer. So, we have a very small window now between April to June where BTC can put in a rally pre-summer, because as we move into summer, we get summer seasonality. A lot of the time, people don't trade as much in summer or have as much interest in summer. So if we don't rally before June, then it's going to be looking like we're going to have a summer chop again, and then putting in a bottom into Q3, Q4, where we truly rally on BTC into that 160k region. But for now, Q2 has the opportunity to give us that bottom, and looking at putting in a move towards summer before seeing a summer chop. I still believe we are in the earlier parts of the bull market, if not getting towards that back end of the bull market, where we see this sort of last parabolic expansion from BTC around here, using the fib extension, time extension tool, something I won't get into today, but you can go and check out my report where I discuss it a little bit more. But we have only just moved into the parabolic part of the cycle, which we can see for BTC has basically been this sort of pre-monthly or pre-parabolic monthly pullback that I've marked, right? Back in 2012, we saw a 37% pullback. Back in 2017, we saw a 33% pullback. Back in 2020, we saw a 20% pullback. And now in 2025, we're seeing that 30% pullback, which historically in bull markets is a very nice place to start bidding. All came following the break into this parabolic expansion zone, which I believe is going to act the same going into Q2 this year. And personally don't believe that we see a true top from BTC, not until as early as October 2021. You know, when we look at the levels matched up on the fibs to prior cycles, we can see that every time we enter this red zone, we don't top on BTC, official top on the cycle before the red zone, right? We didn't top here, we didn't top here, we did not top here, but we did top in this zone, we did top in this zone, and we did top in this zone. So overall, looking good for continuation on BTC going into Q4 of this year. Like I said, we have a small window now where Q2 can really make us rally higher. We start to see some positive outcomes from the whole tariff talk. You know, people starting to add BTC to their holdings more. It can be positive for us in Q2. Now looking at the cycle times, I've mentioned it before in some videos and also in that report I wrote, but personally think that each cycle from Bitcoin is getting longer. That comes down to maturity of cycles, maturity of the asset. I think we are becoming, you know, more of a boomer coin, if you'd like to call it that. You know, suits getting involved. I believe we're going to see much longer and less volatile cycles from BTC. The current cycle being only, as of right now, from the bottom in January 2023 to February in 2023, 860 days. And each cycle roughly is getting around 100 days longer each time, minimum. So for me, that puts us at around at least, you know, 110 days longer than that 2018 to 2021 cycle, which from current prices is around 250 days left of this current cycle. So I believe we still have, you know, 200 days, which matches up with my target for an October top. Earliest from here to October, right, is 180 days. So I believe that we have at least, you know, 200 to 250 days left of this cycle. And I believe, you know, as we move on, cycles will continue to get longer and longer, which is why I think people are suffering with the time capitulation as of late. People have been way too early into positioning into altcoins this time round, which has led to, you know, a strong dominance and a lack of real moves from altcoins. I believe there's a reason for that, and I believe that's because this cycle is much longer and people are far too early. We're technically still in phase one of this cycle. Looking at the halvings, you know, I've got the key here on the right of the halvings on BTC. The growth from the halving to the cycle top each time, you know, you can clearly see that so far we've seen pretty poor reaction from Bitcoin. You know, similar to sort of the 2015 to 2017 cycle, we hadn't had that initial like big parabolic increase from the cycle, and personally expect over time this to creep up and match with the timeline of seeing bullish price action following a Bitcoin halving. You know, as of right now, the growth from the halving, I think we only saw around about a 70% move. I believe we can do from the halving to the cycle top, I believe we can do at least 150 to 200% move, right? With our halving being in April, that puts us around that 160 to 200k mark. So now I'll talk a little bit about the near term, seeing as I've updated my thoughts and everything seems on track to rally this year. Nothing has changed for me. More so that we continue to hold around this 2024 value area high, showing a lot of similarities to the retest we had back on our 2022 value area high, our 2021 value area high, and now our 2024 value area high, which for Bitcoin was a significant price point for it. Continuing to hold this area, even if we were to break under here on the daily, this would still look like a positive place. You know, we can see here on the daily that BTC swept twice, you know, if not 3 times under that region. I think it's possible that if we did sweep under here into the low 70s again, this would be a fantastic buy opportunity. The only thing we need to be cautious of is if price breaks under here and we start to see price get trapped. I think this could be the signs of a bear market starting. But as of right now, as long as BTC continues to hold above 81,500 and the 2024 value area high, we should see positive flows for the rest of the year going into Q2, probably chop for summer and then rallying going into Q4. You want to keep an eye on the developing quarterly value area low for BTC. Q1, this was a significant reversal point for BTC. We can see that once it lost it in February, it rejected from it once, twice, 3 times, and now 4 times we've rejected from this 2025 Q1 value area low, sitting just under that 86k mark. Personally, I think we can reject from here. If we pop up to 86k, I'm looking for a reversal down towards low 70s for real spot buys, and then targeting a move higher. Subject to change, if we do reclaim above 86k, then we can look at continuing to leg up. I think this area above 86k is the main place you want to be looking for a real shift in trend. If BTC shows a good shift in trend above this 2025 Q1 value area low, then I think that could be a sign that all chances of sweeping lower off. From there, we probably trade towards 94k and then 100k and above. So that's pretty much all my thoughts on the higher time frame. Nothing has changed for me. My outlook remains the same. 2025 looks very positive, and I expect this yearly to continue to close bullish, just as it has done 3 times prior to this. I expect this 4th time to be no different. Halving is still on track to rally for the rest of the year, along with our cycle being much longer this time round. Overall, we have to keep an eye on real world events, things that Trump is doing, and the Fed. But yeah, things are looking positive. That's pretty much it for this week's episode of my market review. Bit of a different one, but hopefully an informative one. Sign-ups to the group are now open. You can look at all my socials and link to my socials in the description down below. And hopefully I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.